Welcome to your Monday Morning Pearl. I'm Steve Keck. Today we're going to continue our conversation around the mechanics of a new sales process. Last week we talked about how to involve all the people impacted by this new sales process. And today we're going to talk about the next component of implementing a new sales process. And that is a good adoption process. And yes, I'm talking about process on top of process, but hear me out. You should actually consider an adoption process on top of your new sales process to make sure the engagement is where it needs to be so that you don't have to deal with it on the other side. Because I will tell you, if you don't do it well, you will deal with it later. There's an old adage that says, if you don't plan for wellness today, you're going to need to plan for illness tomorrow. And if you don't plan to engage your stakeholders today, you're going to have to figure out how to engage them when they're not happy and disengage from the new process. And this has nothing to do with the quality of the process. This really has to do with change and how well your team is prepared to adapt to it. The best way to win is to get your team to use the sales process quickly. And the best way to do that is to actually plan for it. So when I'm talking about implementing an adoption process, what you're trying to do is coordinate with your sales enablement team and maybe even PR and marketing to do an internal education process to help build engagement into accepting the new sales process. So many companies, when they're implementing a new sales process, forget to involve the engagement of all the stakeholders prior to the launch. And so there's often sort of a last minute enablement launch where no one has any time to actually get their arms around it, and then boom, it goes live. I personally had to do this once where I found out 2 days before Christmas that we were launching Salesforce, which was not our current CRM, on January 2nd. And I, as the sales enablement guy, had to build training for a system I'd never seen. It caused a lot of problems because there just wasn't capacity to get everyone involved in what the new process looks like. So one of the things you can focus on is engaging your sales enablement team early in the process. Allow them to speak into what's happening, but also begin to plan for how they're going to execute and engage the sales team before the product process is launched. And the second thing you can focus on is actually engaging members of your product team. If they are building products to launch into the market, your product of a new sales process should be internally focused. And the product team has built everything they need to build awareness, build engagement, and get it out the way you need for a successful launch. Why not turn that into an internal focus for a few months while you are getting that sales process launched? Treat your stakeholders like prospects and engage them early and regularly before the process launches. But leaving it only up to the sales leadership to do that can often create a single source of engagement. And if they don't have the time or bandwidth to do that while they're trying to reach goal with their current sales process, you're going to have a reduced adoption, and there's going to be a lot of confusion on the sales side because no one seems to understand why they did the things they did. If you want to get the mechanics of your new sales process right, you do need to include an adoption process into the pre-stages of your launch. The question I want you to consider this week is, are you treating your stakeholders like prospects? Building in a good adoption process will help you all the way through getting a new process to work well for your team. And if you need help with this, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. We love helping you build and implement new sales process to maximize the growth you're trying to achieve. So you can find us on our website or one of our social channels.